Hey, hi. You see what we have tonight. I'm high as a satellite. I better not play this. I better not play this. Let me turn this off. Let me turn this artist off because I don't think I'm supposed to play him anymore. I think he's been canceled. I thought I was gonna wear my glasses today to make sure I can see because I'm looking for clarity today. I'm looking for clarity, but I'm gonna take them off because it just don't feel right. Oh, I look crazy. But as of today, man, it looks like pretty much any and everybody who stood next to Kanye West that had any type of influence or money has backed away. Forbes said he's not a billionaire anymore because his Reebok deal's over or his Adidas deal is over. Balenciaga left him. Whatever. I don't really care. But I will say it's just right here. I tweeted out earlier today. I support Kanye's right to say whatever he wants to say on whatever platform and to whoever listens to it. And I support those who are in business with him or who may be associated with him uh, to make a decision. I support freedom of speech uh, and I support freedom of consequences. And his free speech led to some costly consequences. And that's the world we live in. If you're going to die or stand on what you truly believe in and not care how it makes other people feel, and you're willing to lose money over that and lose relationships over that because you believe in it that much, more power to you. And if somebody is standing on something that you don't believe in, or is just bad for your business, you don't want that negative attention. And you decide to break ties with that person, no issues with that either. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby, and I'm back. I'll tell you what, man, I'm so excited to come back here today and talk to y'all. I feel like I'm refreshed, I'm rejuvenated. I went to homecoming, uh, Spellhouse Homecoming, which is why I'm rocking my Morehouse alumnus quarter zip, inspired by President Barack Obama's appearance on the Manning cast last night. He rocked a nice little quarter zip, and I said, you know what? Let me let me see if I can get the quarter zip off on the pod. It makes me feel so adult and mature when I put on my quarter zip. But I'll tell you what, man. I went to a political rally today, and it may have been the first political rally I've ever been to in my life. Although I'm someone who follows politics, someone who enjoys politics, uh, I don't really get too political in my day to day actions. More so, my private conversations, some things I put out on a podcast, and a lot of what I consume, read, listen to, and stuff like that. Right? Because I like to stay on top of a few things, but also just be aware of what's going on in the world. And I'll tell you, going to this event was especially sobering for me. It was eye opening, and I just had a lot of different thoughts, right? I go, wow, people are easily entertained. Wow, politicians can pretty much say whatever they want to their base and it doesn't matter. And there's all this emotion and propaganda coming out of there. I go, man, well, this feels like church. It's everyone here listening to this one person talking to them how they can get hope. It's like the selling of hope. And I'm not saying that hope should not be sold. I just really found this political rally I went to, similar to church. And I looked at voting like praying. Where it's like, you vote for me and I will do what you need, what you want. And hey, man, yes, sir. It's like, well, if you pray to God, he'll answer your prayers. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Now, I think both voting and praying are very important, but I also think the work is just as important, if not more important. So when I say voting is like praying, it doesn't matter if you don't do the work. Because if you just go and you just cast your ballot and expect somebody to get you what you want and get you what you need, it's never going to happen. If you're just going to drop on your knees and send up a prayer and expect God or whoever you choose to pray to, I pray to God, to give you what you want and what you need, and you do nothing else, then you're absolutely crazy. And I'd be willing to say that you're entitled. But what I'll tell you is what really got me is, let me speak to black people for a second. We have got to stop expecting the government and politicians to fix our problems, right? We think that we're supposed to go to the ballot, to the polls, cast our ballot, problem solved. Oh, we've had a black president. Oh, problem solved. Then you watch how things worked out when he was trying to get things passed, and it didn't always go according to plan. And even the stuff that got passed may not have met your needs, right? But it's like, oh no, government, you got to fix this. Oh, government, you got to fix that. Oh man, we'll wait 2 more years. Oh man, we'll wait 4 more years. Oh man, we'll get them next time, next election cycle. Oh, our guy's in, our girl is in. We gonna get what we. Okay. Let me tell you what, man. If you're gonna wait on somebody else to fix your problems, you're gonna be waiting. If you're gonna sit there on your knees and waiting for your prayers to be answered, and you just don't leave your knees, or you don't leave you don't leave wherever your place of prayer is, you're gonna be waiting until you get up, use the resources around you to address your issues. It's not gonna happen. Like let's go back to prayer. Yeah, you pray for things, you pray for guidance, you pray for wisdom, but you also read a book to learn things, right? And maybe the prayer puts the book in your face or puts the resource in your face or starts a conversation, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that if you pray for food, that food gonna show up on your doorstep. You may meet somebody who can teach you how to grow food or give you a job, you know what I mean? Or you see a job fair or something like that, right? You get the opportunity to make decisions. And the same thing with issues in your life when it comes to politics, right? You vote, but just don't vote. You also have to go be active, whether it's holding your elected officials accountable or it's holding yourself personally accountable for what you're looking for. If you think there's not enough money in your community, you have to go to another community to find the money and bring it back. If you don't think there are enough social programs supporting people in your community, then you might need to start them or, find someone who has the means and the capabilities to do so and the desire to do so. But what we can't do is just keep turning our problems over. We can't keep going to these leaders who are just selling us hope, but they're not giving us tangibles in return, right? I could care less about hope. I think hope is great. I hope that. I hope you will. Hope ain't never did nothing. You ain't never. Who has ever succeeded off of hope? Besides the politician, right? Selling it. But what person has ever received hope and been satisfied at the end? Hope is temporary, but the fruits of your labor, those can last forever. So until we stop just voting and hoping and praying and hoping and start doing, we'll never get what we're looking for. We'll never see the change that we can believe in. We'll never see the change that we desire. If all you want to do is get rich and buy chains and buy jewelry and blow money and do whatever and buy cars and clothes and stuff like that, you'll never see your community change. If you want to see change in your community, if you want to see the black dollar become a mainstay in the black community, you have to take that dollar and invest it in the community. We have to stop looking for these hit or miss careers and start learning trades so we can build up our own communities. Be involved in civil discourse. Instead of saying fuck the police, go be a police, right? You can't change stuff from the outside all the time. Sometimes you have to go in and change from the inside. Okay, if you say, hey, we can police our communities, we'll prove it. Go do it. If you don't like the way they're teaching your children in school, okay, learn the skills necessary to become a teacher. Or if you don't want to become a teacher, set up after school programs, set up mentorship programs to ensure that the people who you are invested in are getting the knowledge and the resources that they want. But if you can't start within yourself, within your house, within your social group, within your family, what in the world makes you think that one other person who is responsible to hundreds of thousands, and millions of people is going to meet your needs when you're not even trying to meet your own? But what do I know? I'm just a big baby, and I'm back. And while we're here on politics, man, a couple of questions, man. How you running for office if you don't trust elections? I mean, we've seen a meteoric rise in this election cycle of politicians who are election deniers. Well, if you're an election denier, why are you participating in an election? Like, if you don't believe the results of an election that you weren't involved in, you were just invested in, because you didn't get the result that you wanted, why would you run for office? You obviously think the system is flawed and it's broken and that it's manipulated to get the desired effect of those who you are against. So you're going to throw your hat in it. So what happens if you win and your opponent says, oh no, this person didn't win? Stop the steal. They're stealing votes. What are you going to say? Oh no, this election was right because I won? And what does that say to the people who you're representing? How do you say, hey, this system that stands on these morals and these principles that I believe in, well, that you believe in, I don't believe in them. Am I supposed to vote for you? And then what does it say to the people who don't believe in the system, but they still participate in the system? Is it that they don't trust the system if their person's not there, or if their person gets there, then they now trust the system? So is it person over system, right? Is it Brady over the Patriot way? Have we just taken that from sports and now applied it to politics? Because I thought that when we see a system, we buy into the system, but we want to optimize the system by putting the best people in position to succeed. Because when we look at what the Patriots are doing, the Patriot way is not failing because the Patriot way doesn't work. The Patriot way is not succeeding to its maximum capability because it does not have the best participants in the system to make it its most optimal. That's all it is. That's all it is. Great system, great people, great results. Great system, average people, above average results. Bad system, great people, average to above average results. You see what we're doing here? Bad system, bad people is terrible. But you need both. And if we as American people aren't buying into the system, what does that say about us? What does that say about the system? I'm one who believes in the system. I believe it has its flaws, but I believe that it can work and it will work when the right people are in it and they're acting accordingly. Now, I don't want to get into why I think the system is flawed. Not on this podcast. I don't think this is appropriate. But what I found is super interesting is that there's this us versus them mentality. And you see it in primary elections, and then you see it in the general election, and you see it amongst the people. There's just so much tribalism going on over here. It's so polarizing. So now you have election deniers versus election believers running against one another, and it's their job to unify the populace. And I don't see how they do that. How do you sit and tell someone, hey, this person that you voted for who won this election stole this election and they should not have won this election? But you know what? I came up after them. It was perfect for me. Follow me. I'm going to lead you to where you need to go. Let me hit my yak. Well, that don't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it doesn't make sense to you. And it makes me wonder, so what are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it for the people? Are you trying to point at problems in the system to big yourself up, right? It's like the guy who wants to downplay the girl's boyfriend when he acting up just so he can slide in. And it's like, hey, bro, you ain't gotta play a hate. Just be you. Stand on who you are. But don't use narratives because they're convenient and they benefit you when you don't even actually believe them. Not when you're here to be a voice of the people. And I tell you what, man, Herschel Walker, he said a lot of things. I mean, for one, he said bite. And there's a lot of things that Herschel Walker says that I can't get behind, won't get behind, not going to try to get behind, don't even want to be in front of, don't want to be close to those statements. But one thing I heard multiple times when consuming Herschel Walker, when asked certain questions about him changing his stances, he says, I represent the voice of Georgia. I represent Georgia. I represent the people. So if you see me change my stance, that means I'm listening to the voice of my potential constituents and I'm echoing what they're saying so I can show them that I truly represent them. And I heard that and I went, wow. Wow. Now, although I'm skeptical of it coming from you because of the many things that you say that just doesn't make sense, I go, that's what we want from politicians. That's what we need from politicians. It's what I wish more politicians were willing to say. I wish we had more politicians saying, hey, here's what I believe, and I hope that you people can buy into this. I hope you people will buy into it because this is what I stand for. But more importantly than what I stand for, at my core, is I stand for you. And I want to represent you the best way that you can be represented. And I'm not going to allow my personal views, I'm not going to allow my personal biases to take the place of your voice. No, I want to be the megaphone, not the person behind it. See, we the people are the ones holding the megaphone. Our elected officials are the megaphone. And whenever we put into that megaphone, they're supposed to take it and amplify it so it's heard where it needs to be heard. But what's happening is we got this reversed. We, the people, are being the megaphone, and we're just spewing the messages of those who we elect and support. And they're not speaking for us. No, we're speaking for them. We're amplifying them. And based on my studies, based on my understanding, that's not how this democratic system is supposed to work. It's supposed to be built on what the people want, not what the powers that be want. Like, remember, we built this country to escape a tyrannical government because there was mistrust in government, and we didn't want a monarch because we didn't trust monarchs, and we wanted people to be able to elect officials and amend the Constitution and all of that. That came because of the people and representing the people. And although the people who were being identified as the people when we started here are not the people who the system is listening to and representing today, the system itself, the ideal itself, right? The framework itself is meant for the people. So when you feel yourself becoming that megaphone, no. You turn around and you look at that politician, you say, no, here, no. Now you amplify what I say. I voted for you, you didn't vote for me. If you want me to be the megaphone and amplify what you say, well, let's switch places. Let me get your job and your salary and your special interests and your relationships and your tax breaks. Some of the insider trading too, if you give that away too, it's the bang. But no, I really appreciate Herschel saying that. It made a lot of sense. I think one thing that we have to do is, just because we don't agree with somebody every day, which we don't agree with anybody every day, if we don't agree with somebody's politics or we don't want them to represent us, the least we can do is acknowledge what they're saying makes sense. But speaking of a politician like Herschel Walker, why is it harder to become a citizen in the United States than to represent the citizens of the United States? Now, I know a few people taking a naturalization test. I've looked at some study questions for that naturalization test. I can't promise you that I could pass that just walking around every single day. If we can make a test to drive a car, entrance exams for college, hell, entrance exams for some high school, exit exams for high schools. Why can't we maybe have a entrance exam into politics? On LinkedIn, they'll make me take a test on how well I know Microsoft Word. Can we at least have a civics exam to make sure the people who get the opportunity to represent we, the people, know exactly what is expected of them in office? Like, I can't remember the lady's name, but she talked about she is tired of the Bible and the Constitution, not the country not representing the Bible, and that's not right. It's like, whoa, have you heard of separation of church and state, lady? Kind of built on that. you don't. I don't think you should have the opportunity to get elected until you learn that. And I know that goes against my typical narrative of let the people choose, but at some point, man, you got to save the people from themselves. And I think this is a place where I'm not afraid of it because the information is readily available for those who want to take that step into politics to learn exactly what it is they need to know and prove that they know that information. I'm okay with that. I just throw it out there as a question, and I don't even think I'm going to stay here that long. I'm just curious, why is it harder to become a citizen in the United States than it is to represent the citizens of the United States? I don't know. Something to think about. While we're here on that, what exactly are people of color? I was taught growing up that if I was called a colored, that's racist. Now I'm having to relearn that I can't be called colored, but I can be called a person of color. So, colored wrong, person of color right. And I'm going to keep coming back to this because I think it's extremely dismissive of this melting pot of ethnic groups that we have in the great United States of America to just throw these rich cultures into POC. When I hear POC, I think piece of crap, not person of color. Oh, well. Maybe we got something there. Maybe that's why we POC. Because some think we may be pieces of crap, right? But no. On a serious note, I don't like it. And I don't like it because I don't think there is common ground amongst people of color. But I think the common ground that is perceived to be understood by all people of color isn't. And I think that it creates a like a acceptable division of the whites versus everyone else. And maybe that's the intent. I don't know. But it pretty much says, okay, all of you, all y'all together. Now us over here, we're together. Was minorities not good enough, or was minorities not specific enough, or as the minority group changed, or I don't kind of just talking here, but it's just kind of weird to me. Like, what's wrong with referring to these people as Black Americans, these people as Nigerian Americans, these people as Haitian Americans, these people as Mexican Americans, Guatemalan Americans, Salvadoran Americans, Chinese Americans? You know what I mean? Canadian Americans, Irish Americans, German Americans. What exactly is wrong with that, you know? Filipino Americans. No API. And I guess if you want to be a Latin American, you can be a Latin American. If you want to be a Middle Eastern American, you can be a Middle Eastern American. If you want to be an Asian American, you can be an Asian American. If you want to be an African American and you're from that continent, then you can be an African American. I don't. What's wrong with keeping these groups separate but equal? That's something that we used to live on, right? Separate but equal. That was social. That was acceptable around here. Separate but equal. Why can't we go back to that? Because when you say, "Oh, the people of color in this country, they are worried about this," and I go, well, if you think about the people of color in the hood, we all got different plights. Yeah, I got different plights, and putting us in the same group. It's like putting saltwater fish and freshwater fish in the same body of water. Somebody's gonna die because it ain't their natural environment. And when I talk about the people, I don't mean that a person is going to actually die, but I mean a narrative. I mean an agenda. I mean points of view. I mean perspective is going to die. But what we can do is if we really want to become this melting pot that is America, we can all just melt together. And guess what? We'll all be people of color. We'll look alike. We'll talk similar. We'll have varied backgrounds that we don't understand. And then we won't have these mixing in terms and the confusion will just be classified by our social economic class or our socioeconomic class, which honestly I think is probably the best. Yeah, the best way to categorize people because that's kind of where their priorities land is what can I afford? Where do I live? Yeah. So get, in your region, socioeconomic class probably get you a lot further in understanding where somebody's coming from than their color. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby. But you know what? I need to shoot me some bell. Shoot me some bell. Don't shoot me, but shoot me some bell. Because in all these races, I'm hearing political races, right? I'm hearing this liberal stands on no gas bell. So to me, that says okay. So they want poor people to be afforded the same opportunities as those in the middle class and those wealthy individuals who may be locked up and are awaiting trial. So if you're telling me you support cash bail and you don't support no cash bill, it means you're a classist. You're an elitist. Right? Now, if you tell me, I think this is all or nothing. You either support no cash bill or you don't support, or you support no bill. I don't think there should be a money discriminator in between. Now, if we want to get into crimes and flight risk, we can talk about that now. Those are reasons to deny bail. But if somebody deserves to be bailed out and money is the thing that's keeping them in there, or that's the determinant, then why? Oh, you support the money coming in from the okay. Just tell me you're a crook and that, I can run with that. I can accept that. But don't tell me you stand on law and order. You stand on keeping the peace. If you're telling me that cash bail is what you stand on, because cash bail is having your cake and eating it too. That's you're telling me that poor criminals are more of a harm to society than our more wealthy criminals. That's exactly what you're telling me here. And if that's what you're telling me, you should tell the people that, and you should explain it that way, right? It takes me back to the political rally that I was at. And it's no shot at the politicians who were there because they were doing what works for them and what works in politics these days. But it was a lot of this is what I'm going to do and a lot of and not a lot of how I'm going to do it. Right? It's a lot of we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Well, how the hell are you going to pay for it? How are you going to get support behind it? How do you think that in this particular area where you are running for office, your ideology goes against the ideology of your congressional body. How are you going to get this stuff to happen? A lot of what and not a lot of how. But same here. We'll say, oh, I stand on law and order. Oh, how's up? I believe in cash bail. The fuck does that mean? That means if you go to jail tonight, you know you can get out. But if this old boy down the street who ain't got it, he do the same thing you do. He can't get out. Who's worse, him or you? I mean, y'all commit the same crime, or y'all allegedly commit the same crime. You haven't been found guilty by a group of your peers yet. Oh, you want to starve him out, so he takes a plea, or she takes a plea, and they go sit down. Ah, yeah. You want them to become comfortable on the inside. Oh well, if we let them out, they'll commit another crime. Oh, but if somebody comes up with the money, they won't. Well, the poor are more likely to commit more. Your rich ass commit the same crime. And again, I'm not using stats to back this argument up, right? I'm just poking holes in an argument, right? Because I think it's absolutely insane that you can stand on cash bail. I'm gonna tell you, give me a speedy trial, and this won't be a problem. Do what you need to do your investigation, do great cop work, but get me out of here if you can't convict me. And I'm not saying we should let criminals walk free. But what I'm saying is, if we believe that we're innocent until proven guilty instead of guilty until proven innocent, then we should not treat our people, our citizens like criminals, like prisoners until they become one officially. So how do we speed it up? That's for law enforcement and DA to figure out. I don't know. I'm just a big baby, and I'm back. Oh my goodness. Last serious topic here. We're testing our academic standards are getting tested here in America. So I was reading the Times this morning, you know, do that from time to time. And I came across an article about lower test scores in America. Wish I could find it, but it's not right here. And now, it didn't tell me anything that I hadn't heard, but the headline is kind of what got me. And that's why I want to pull it up. Because I won't say it was misleading, but I will say that I think we should have been led in a different direction. Ooh, that's politician talk right there. Let's use the same words, but not actually say anything different. Let me see. See if I can find it. I should be better than this, y'all. But it pretty much said that test scores are down because of COVID. And here we go. Breaking news. Math scores fell in nearly every state and reading dipped on a national exam. On a national exam, U.S. students showed a deep decline in math and a dip in reading, an indictment of the pandemic's effect on learning. Sure, let's put that in a little box here, not contextualize, and say yes, the pandemic had a negative effect on learning. Well, how did we choose to teach during a pandemic? We had students learn virtually. And it's one thing if we're talking college students who know how to read and can actually go get online degrees. Like you can go get an online undergraduate degree, graduate degree, so on and so forth, right? There are not as many online options for secondary and below degree diplomas, right? You go to school physically to learn. So now we apply this to a younger group of people who haven't really left their houses, don't get the opportunity to leave their houses, and their parents are expected to do the work. Oh, also, we're alternating days. Like some days you're going to school, some days you're virtual, and there's no true supervision here on what's going on, right? What do you expect to happen? But I'm not going to just blame this on the pandemic, and I'm not even going to just blame it on the response to the pandemic, because do I disagree with closing down schools? Absolutely. Once we figured out who COVID affected at the highest rates, get those kids in school. China's not taking a year off from learning. The rest of the world's not. I mean, our competitors are not taking a year off of learning. But what I'm going to really get into is the culture of education in America, because we're starting with the end and we're not working with the means, right? I was having a conversation with a with a retired educator and another educator who's been who's been in the game for almost 30 years. And we were talking, and I was talking about, thoughts of getting into education, wanting to teach, because I think that people like me should be more willing to teach young people, somebody with a perspective, somebody who's lived a little bit. Um, but I'm gonna be honest with you, teachers don't make enough money, and starting to learn the politics of education in America, I'm like, I can't do that, because the grade that the student earns is maybe not the grade that the student receives. It's we gotta bump the grade up. We gotta give them good grades. Oh, we gotta pass them because we can't have a bad pass rate. It's like, oh well, the statistics matter. No, the learning matters. And all learning can't be captured by a test. All learning can't be captured by an essay. All learning can't be captured by these statistics, right? There's no way in hell to do that, because I argue all the time. The professor will tell you what he or she wants you to learn, but you can learn so many more other things in the pursuit of what they ask you and tell you to learn, right? That's not quantifiable. You can't quantify. There's no way to quantify that information, but you've learned it. It's in your head. And believe it or not, there is value in failing. There is value in bad grades. There is value in getting rejected from a college because you don't meet their academic standards. You may save a few thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars by not enrolling and showing up there and getting kicked out 3 semesters in because you weren't built to go there. Or maybe you weren't built for it at all. But because your high school just, let's just bump the grades up. Let's just do it. No COVID, no SAT, no ACT. We're not going to. And then what happens? You fall right flat on your ass. Right? School should be more reflective of life. If you don't know somebody, you can't cut the mustard. You can't stay here. You don't succeed. There are standards. We have standards. We used to have standards, at least. It's not about the end. It's about getting to the end. And if you meet the qualifications to get to the end, then you get to put the cord around your neck. You get the grade on the report card. You don't get the grade on the report card and say, okay, now go do that work to meet this. No, 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 no. Cause and effect. But we just focused on effect and not cause. Because we are causing the effect to happen instead of the person who's supposed to be causing the effect to happen. No, 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 no. We're going to affect the form. And it's not effective. And the effect of that is our ineffective test scores. Yeah, yeah. Our academic standards are at a test because we no longer have them. We're no longer holding them. We're giving away things. We're giving away grades. We're giving away degrees just because, oh, you can pay for that. Oh, we don't want to hurt his or her feelings. Your feelings shouldn't be hurt because you're not good enough. Not long term. You should get better, work harder, work smarter, make friends, do something. I sometimes hear people from a different culture say, sell a brick. And I don't literally mean go sell a brick, because I would never advocate selling drugs. But the thing is, figure it out. What made academia so prestigious was that it's not for everyone. And we need to get back to making academia prestigious. Academia is not for everyone. Some people are meant to do and not think. That's life. It's not a bad thing. Like, there are some thinkers, great thinkers, that can't do to save their life. They can spend years in school where teaching or learning, but they're not built to actually do things. And there are those who can't do a damn thing in a school but build it. But you need those people. We need thinkers and doers. We don't need to make every doer a thinker. We don't need to make every thinker a doer. We need to, find the rivers and lakes that are for you and stick to them. But let's stop dropping our academic standards just so that we can make kids happy and make them meet our academic standards so that we can make our kids successful. But again, what do I know? I'm just a big baby. And I'm back. All right, man, we're about to close her out. We are about to close her out with a little bit of game of you woke, I'm asleep. You woke the woke, and I'm asleep. Now, when we go on hiatus, I think this is episode 197, so we are 2 away from the hiatus. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, this is episode 197. So once we go on hiatus, we're still going to keep you woke, I'm asleep. The podcast itself is not going to change too much. It's going to change some, but it's not going to be as different as you all think. Just going to try some different stuff, man. That's what I like to do here. Now let's get to you welcome sleep. What was all this like? Okay. People liking my story. What do we have a good idea? Anytime I see posts like this, I gotta respond, right? Then where my hug N-words turn into them podcast N-words that don't like women. All right, I can't speak to those podcast people who don't like women. I can't really speak to where my hug dudes at, because after a while I get weird. Like, what we hugging for? Why you gonna hug? Like, no, get on my face. Oh shit, she gave me a hug. Big whoop. But anyway. You people with no podcast love to bash people with podcasts. Guess what? Don't listen. Easy. If you don't think somebody should have a podcast, if you think what they're talking about is corny, don't listen. No sweat off our backs. That's just from the podcast community. I just elected myself spokesperson of the podcast community. But on to the guys who don't like women. Guess what? There are a lot of guys who have felt like they've been scorned by women. They've been looked over by women, and they just want their revenge. It's called revenge of the nerds. And not to defend these guys, but guess what? There are women who have been scorned by men, and they want their revenge. And they go about it in different ways. And I don't really consume these anti-women podcasts because I have a life and like to consume podcasts that actually provide understanding on topics that I'm interested in, or bring topics to me that I didn't know existed. Teach me something. That's kind of what I go for personally. But these podcasts exist, and you know about them because somebody wants to hear them. And because somebody wants to hear them, that means they are speaking to something that's valid. And I guess to down these guys for being weirdos, socially awkward, not the most ladies men, quarterback type, guy who gets to girls. I guess if that makes you feel better, have at it. But they just want their get back. It's revenge of the nerds. Like, look at what's happening in our society. Dating has become a swipe right, swipe left thing, more so than a hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, shit. I did the whole piece on where do you date and how do you meet your significant other, because it seems like everywhere you go to try to meet somebody, that's the wrong thing. We can't speak to people. In the same way, you have these guys who go in here and bash these women and talk crazy about them, and then go trick off and pay for them because they ain't got no pimping, they can't talk, they ain't got no Mac, they ain't got no game, they ain't fly, they ain't cool, they ain't even funny when they get around a woman because they freeze up because they have no confidence in themselves. You got women over here saying, "Oh no, I only go out to be with my girls. I don't want any male attention." Oh, but he fine, bruh. Everybody, there's space for everybody in entertainment, and honestly, with this revenge of the nerds that I talk about, is there are voices that were silenced by the powers that be because it was so hard to break in. It was so hard to get your message out there. And now these voices that were once silenced have an opportunity and they have platforms to put their point of view out there. And there are people who relate to them. And just as much as you want to pick on somebody like Fresh and Fit, or even throw academics into that category, which I don't think academics is a woman basher. Um, I honestly think that you should just not listen to it and find the things that are more reflective of what you're into, because there's a podcast out there for everybody. Any and everybody. There is a podcast out there for you. I'm telling you, black women, there are podcasts out there for you. Just know this one ain't it. No offense to y'all, but y'all don't like me. Let's see what else we got. Now that House of Dragon is over, I'll say it. Incest fantasies are hot. That's from Cosmopolitan. Hey man, burn that platform. Fuck we talking about here? Incest fantasies are hot. If you like your uncle, just tell us, bro. You got a crush on your auntie, your cousin, some shit like that. If you just a weird, creepo, nasty. If you need to go listen to them I Hate Women podcast, you go listen to that, dog. Say incest fantasies are hot, and being able to put that like on your platform, your credible platform, with your verified check and the millions of dollars this platform makes annually, and somebody thought that shit was okay. Yo, you motherfuckers weird, dog. I just have you thinking she's out your league, walking to Taco Bell, and she's in the lobby on break. Oh, what can I say? I mean, just because she work at Taco Bell don't mean she wants your ass. Maybe she's trying to get out of Taco Bell. But y'all be thinking just because a woman is fine that like she's perfect. No, bro. Nobody's perfect. You gotta find who works for you, who's perfect for you. Just because she fine. Oh boy, she fine, mom, you know. Bro, she might have 8 kids, bad credit. Here we go. Behind your back, you never know what's really going on. I don't trust nobody. Hey, let that hurt go, man. Like, you need to trust the fact that, yeah, people do things behind your back, but that doesn't mean that they hate you. You need to trust the fact that you're not perfect. You need to trust the fact that people are going to say true things about you behind your back. You need to trust the fact that you are probably not the easiest person to have a conversation with, to actually teach you what's going on. So, yeah, you get talked about behind your back. Or maybe you just said some dumb shit. It doesn't mean that people don't care about you. But if you don't trust anybody, that means you don't trust yourself, because there's no way in hell you say I trust nobody, and you can actually trust yourself, because if you can trust yourself, that means you can offer that same thing to somebody else. But if you can't offer that same thing to somebody else, yeah, it doesn't live within you. And you need to let that hurt go, sis. You need to let that hurt go, bruh. Cause bruh, like you carrying all this weight, you carrying all this hurt, you carrying all this what's it called? All this trauma. That's trauma response right there. Yeah, you carrying all this trauma for what? It ain't doing nothing for you. It ain't helping you. You ever looking over your shoulder, man? What happens if you meet somebody who you're really into and they're into you? And then when they walk away, oh, well, I don't trust what you're doing. Let me blow a phone up. What you doing? Let me look at the phone. Like, come on, man. Don't project your insecurities of yourself onto other people. Take some time, take care of you, so then you can be a person who can be available for other people, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's your family. Yeah, whoever dressed their kid up at Jeffrey Dahmer is a sick fuck. Somebody need to get child protective services out here immediately. Like that's some sick, nasty shit, man. That's gross. You don't even have kids. Let's see what else I got. Oh yeah, here we go. All the rules are fake. Do you? All right, and do your ass right to the penitentiary. See, I got one more. I identify the conspiracy theorists. My pronouns are they and lied. Shut up! Shut up! They lied and they told the truth. That's life. People lie. They tell the truth. Just because somebody lies, doesn't mean they always lie. Just because somebody tells the truth, doesn't mean they always tell the truth. Evaluate the information you get based on what you can and reference other valid information to help you get to the right answer. You travel responses. All right, one more before we get to our close. What others say about you is not your problem, but what you say about yourself is. What others say. All right, so what others say about you is not your problem. What you say about you is. What you say about yourself is very important as long as it's factual. I think that we've gotten to a place to where we say it doesn't matter what other people think, it matters what I think. As long as what you think is true. You're the reason why we have teachers teach us stuff and they grade our papers. Even in the highest levels of academia, we have teachers grade our papers. In the highest levels of business, we have a boss. We have somebody to answer to who evaluates what it is that we do. And if you don't have a boss evaluating, you got shareholders, you have consumers, you have some metric to be evaluated by this outside of you. So to say that what other people say about you is not your problem, I mean, it's not until it is. But at some point, how you are viewed by others, how you are treated by others, it is your problem because it can become a problem. And if people view you negatively and you view yourself positively and and it's closing doors that you want to walk through, then that is your fucking problem. Yeah, it sounds good to I walked to him at the beat of my own drum. Yeah, that's what Kanye was doing. He walked to the beat of his own drum. Too bad he wasn't a drum major. That drum ain't drumming like he was. And he ain't walking he don't walk like he used to walk. Cause they made a difference. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's great to be confident in yourself, but you also got to be self-aware. And if you're not self-aware in who you are, none of this shit matter. Yeah, yeah, because people gonna think what they think about you. When people think things about you, if it's not true, you shouldn't let it bother you. As long as you know it's true, but you actually have to know it's true, and you have to make sure that what other people think about you doesn't affect what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, we all have goals, we have aspirations, and if that's what we're really trying to accomplish, then yeah, what someone else thinks about you is your problem. Now, if you want to just go disappear in the forest and never come back out, go off the grid, and shit, you do whatever. Shit, we don't give a damn. People won't know. Ain't gonna know. Ain't gotta know. Okay, last one before we get out of here. A hungry stomach, an empty pocket, and a broken heart can teach the best lessons of life. Yeah. See, a hungry stomach, teach you to go eat. An empty pocket, teach you to go to work. Broken heart. I think the broken heart is different. Empty stomach, a hungry. A lot of times, there's some control that we have over a hungry stomach. Right. It's easier to find food than it is to find love, or it's easier to find money than it is to find love. But when that broken heart happens, you just sitting there like, well, how do I get through this? How do I unbreak my heart and sing because it may not need to be told that you loved again, right? Like I saw this post today, and it said, hard truth. Sometimes choosing yourself also means choosing to go through withdrawal is not choosing them. Yeah. And I said, and sometimes realize that you need that fix because you can't live without it. Yeah, like some of that is yeah, there's some crossover here, and that broken heart. And I guess I'm coming from a place of a little bit of privilege. I've not really ever my adult life. I ain't never had empty pockets or empty stomach. I've not been someone who didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I'm not someone who didn't know where my next dollar was coming from. But I have been somebody who's walked around with a broken heart and didn't know when it was going to get fixed, how it was going to get fixed, who was going to fix it, if I was going to fix it or what. Like I've been there before. It's a terrible place to be. And I've also been that person who's had a broken heart and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to take this time away. We're going to take this space away. And I said, oh, shit, baby. I'm a high functioning crack addict. I need my fix. Yeah, I'm a crackhead for you. And not to say, and crackhead's probably not a good thing, but it's like the person who got a organ replaced, right? Organ replacement surgery, and there's a medicine that you have to take for the rest of your life so that your white blood cells doesn't fight against that organ that's not supposed to be in your body. Yeah, that's when that's the difference when you realize that medicine that you were taking you wasn't necessarily taking it because you were living for the fix, but you were taking it because it's what you needed to survive. I need you. You need me. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to survive. You with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to. It is it. Yeah, all of that. But whatever it is that you learn from that broken heart, the empty stomach, them empty pockets, you learn it, but you don't stay down. You don't stay broke. You don't stay hungry. You don't stay brokenhearted. And not staying brokenhearted don't mean you move on to somebody and you take that broken heart to them and ask them to fill it up. It's you take care of yourself. Yeah, you take care of yourself. You fix what's going on the inside. So it reflects on the outside. You go get a job, you go get that food. Cause you can't live without it. Who wanna walk around broke, hungry, with a broken heart? Shit. Better off just voting and praying. Nah, I'm serious though. Voting is like praying without the work, man. Voting is like praying, man. If you don't do the work, it don't matter. But if you're doing the work, you're gonna fix that broken heart. You're gonna fix them broken pockets. You're gonna fix that empty stomach. and you might actually fix that broken system and find your blessings. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby, and I'm out.